Alright, good evening, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and today I really just wanted to talk about Kansas because they actually have 2020 data for Kansas, and that means we can actually look at results for that. Now, I'm going to make sure that I'm set to here, or set to there. And, well, I'm going to be honest with you. This this is a state that, while it has a Democrat as its governor, Laura Kelly, the state legislature has enough Republicans that they can override her veto. So they have free hand to draw whatever map they want. And I actually think they could do a much better job of drawing this than I probably could. I should probably have included some more of these counties in the second, expanded the third down kind of in this general direction, and pushed the first a little bit further into the current third congressional district. I might actually do that, but this is kind of just a proof of concept that yes, the Republicans can absolutely make all districts favorable to them, rather than the current balance of one that sort of favors the Democrats. Obviously, the first and the fourth are pretty safe. The fourth does have Wichita, which is a pretty decent sized city, but it's just not enough to carry the rest of the area. The second is pretty red, but it does have Topeka, and I forget what the name of this town is. If we get rid of this, what's the town? Let's get rid of that. Lawrence. And if we go over to the Kansas City area as well as Overland Park, yeah, we can see that the third is actually geographically the smallest and most populated, but that's because there's a lot of people in Overland Park. Fun fact, I've actually been to Leavenworth. I've actually been into Kansas, both sides of Kansas City, in my lifetime. I think the furthest I've been was somewhere in this area where I fished on the Missouri River. Or that's not the Missouri, that's the Platte, if I remember correctly. Yeah. I don't remember the rivers that well, but regardless. Let's go ahead and turn back the partisan lean and show you just how that turns out. Actually, hilariously, the third used to be much more Republican, because if we turn this on and turn this off, we can see that Overland Park was much more Republican favorable, as you can see right there. But of course, the this area, the suburbs of both cities, were much less Democratic. And well, this is, even Wichita was pretty somehow even redder. This was one of the reddest states at that point. So let's turn this back on, and we can actually see as time goes on. Center in 2016, very, 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 very red. Again, turning this off, we can see just how red everything was. And zooming in, it's really probably just a few votes that changes it. And of course, Overland Park, we look at it. There we go. Turn that back on. President 2016, Trump hadn't pissed off the suburbs as much as he had by 2020, and we'll see that when we look at the 2020 election. Midterms, Republicans didn't do so well. Oh yeah, he did really well in the rural areas, by the way, Trump did. The governor's race, part of this part of this was because there was a third party running. I don't know why it says a second isn't contiguous, because it is, but whatever. And yeah, about 9% of the vote went to third party candidates. And so the Democrat was able to, because by virtue of, and we have to remember, Orman, the third party candidate in that election, was effectively a member of the conservative. He was a conservative, and so that really hurt the Republican candidate. Now that said, that doesn't change the fact that if we go back to statistics, Democrats still got 48% of the vote, and not all of Orman's votes would have gone to the Republican. About 90% would have, and that would have been enough for the Republican to just narrowly edge out the Democrat. But point is that take this figure with a slight grain of salt. And just because I've been doing it, let's show you what the precincts would have looked like. And you can see much less red, a lot more blue. Go to President 2020, and you can see suburbs and the urban areas not so friendly to Trump. And I could say go figure for that one. But the rural areas liked him a lot more. And just for reference, 2016, take that off and show you the difference between 16, that's Senator 2020, and President 2020, and 2020. You can see not as much shift as you would expect until you get into these areas. And I could zoom in on that and show you that, but then we go to the Senator 2020, and obviously I have to turn this on. Surprisingly, I forget who the candidates were, but as you can see, the Republican didn't do so well in the rural areas, and also kind of suffered in the urban and suburban areas, which to me is actually kind of interesting, because this is one of the few cases of a down ballot Republican not performing as well as Trump. And to me, that's actually very interesting. So I think this is definitely a good starting point for the Republicans in Kansas' state legislature if they want to try to press their advantage. There are definitely things they can do and ways they can improve this map for sure. And maybe I'll play around with that to see, but we are starting to see that Kansas is actually kind of changing, and that the Kansas City area is getting a little bit more blue. Topeka and Lawrence are getting a little bit more blue. Wichita is starting to get a little bit more blue. And the state at some point may actually wind up regaining a 5th congressional district in the next 3-ish censuses, somewhere in that time, because Kansas is a growing state. But it's going to be much harder for the Republicans to actually draw out a Democrat, right? And that's one of the things we've seen looking at all of these. Now, of course, if you do like the content, likes, comments, and subscriptions, they always do help, and I greatly appreciate them. Likes and comments, of course, help the algorithm to not hate me. And, well, subscriptions, they're very nice, and I'd love to reach 1,000 by the end of the year. We'll see if that happens. Anyway, take it easy, y'all. Have a very nice evening. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.